My name is Kris Vierra, also known as Quilter on the Run, and I'd like to invite you to join me at the Pacific International Quilt Festival in Santa Clara, California this upcoming July. I'll be teaching 4 of my favorite classes there, 3 of which are hands-on from my stress-free quilting series. For most people, quilting is a hobby, and if your hobby is making you want to pull your hair out and giving you an ulcer, you probably need a new hobby. So I want to make this way more enjoyable and get back to the fun of actual quilting stuff, i.e. the stress-free. So the first one is my stress-free hexagon class. I love the look of English paper piecing, but I freely admit I do not have the patience to do it all by hand. So I came up with a method to do hexagon quilts on your sewing machine with no Y seams, no splitting hexes, and no paper to move. So it's really simple and a lot less time consuming. The next one is my easy stress-free applique class. This gives you the look of needle-turned applique, but again, entirely on your sewing machine. So you don't have to spend time turning it by hand and doing all the different handwork stuff. And there's nothing wrong with handwork. I just like to get lots of projects done. So my last hands-on class is actually my borders and bindings class. I'm not a big fan on having to figure out how to do all the math on stuff. So I've come up with a lot of cool ways to easily do different types of borders, including like scallops and prairie points, double wedding rings, different types of facings and stuff, all with very little to no math. In addition to which, it all starts with having a good firm foundation, and quite frankly, I'm old enough that I don't want to climb around on the floor on my hands and knees to square up a quilt. Besides which, if you start squaring up a quilt with a 24-inch ruler on an 80-inch quilt, and you're off by like 1/8 of an inch when you start, by the time you get to the end, you no longer have a nice square, you have a parallelogram, basically. But if you use a laser level and a chalk line, and you square it up in both corners and pop a chalk line every time, you're going to come up with a perfectly square quilt and you're not going to have to worry about climbing around on the floor. So this is just one of the few tricks that I'm going to teach you in my borders and bindings class. The last class that I'm doing is actually geared more towards people that maybe have been doing this as a hobby for a long time and have been thinking about turning it into a business. And it's an all-day immersive class. We're going to start with how to actually start a home-based business, what goes into it, what kind of insurance do you need a business plan, how do you get financing, how do you get wholesale accounts, things like that. And we'll progress throughout the afternoon to where we will then move into how to actually grow this business using different types of social media, how to set up a website, how to start a Facebook account, when and how often should you post on Instagram, and various things like that. So, I'd love to have you come join me. Again, that's Kris Vierra, and I'll be teaching at the Pacific International Quilt Festival this July in Santa Clara, California.